Hello, I'm your host, Kelly Eckhart, and welcome to The Future Edit. So hello and welcome back to The Future Edit. Thanks so much for coming back and listening. Today I have a really special guest. I have Solveig with me from English Yoga Meetups, and I've had the pleasure of attending her yoga classes and also done some online classes with her, and read her beautiful website, which is so many great tips. And there's just interviews that she's done as well with other people about well-being and really kind of getting back to yourself. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me.
Yes. And so let's start off with you introducing yourself, giving a little bit of your background and how about your journey to yoga.
Yeah. So my name is Solveig and I live in Frankfurt. It's been a while, like probably 8 years ago. Originally, I just wanted to stay like 1 year, but 2 years ago.
I hear that a lot, actually.
And yoga only came into my life maybe like 5 years ago.
Okay.
So before that wasn't really my thing. And yeah, I do these English Yoga Meetups since 4 years now for expats living in Frankfurt, and we also have a Munich community. Because I've been living also quite a bit abroad, and I've also noticed like it's a very exciting time to live abroad and to make all these new connections, but it's also very much stressful for yourself because it's a new culture, everything works a little bit differently. And on top of this, we all have like jobs where we sit all day long, me included. So I have a full-time job working in marketing, and I do the yoga as a side thing. So for me, it was always, okay, I'm sitting way too long. I have chronic back pain and I'm just, struggling.
Yeah.
And so I started getting into yoga, everything, and eventually made it a habit, but this was like a longer journey. But I also noticed it's really hard to do yoga if you don't know the language.
Yes.
So, like, I was in a lot of classes and they were telling me about the pelvic floor and that muscle over there. And even in my German language, I wouldn't even had a clue, like, what should I activate or not?
Yeah.
So I noticed it's like the language barrier is kind of a thing when you want to learn yoga. And I've noticed Frankfurt, because I've been there 8 years ago, and today it's not the same city anymore. I mean, a few more skyscrapers are coming, but it has become also more and more international. So when you walk around the streets now, like you hear English all the time, you hear French all the time, Italians are basically everywhere. And I noticed, okay, like where do those people go when they want to do yoga? So you have a couple of great studios here in Frankfurt for sure.
Yeah.
But at this time, like 4 years ago, like there was not much out there for the English speaking community.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe that's a gap. And I just started like by teaching yoga in the park and grew it up from over there.
That's amazing. And yeah, my next question was why English? But it makes a lot of sense, right? Because like you said, Frankfurt's growing and you're hearing a lot of English out there. But do you find that even Germans are coming to your English courses as well? Do you find it's grown kind of more than just this English expat community?
Yeah, it's actually, I would say, well, maybe about 80% expats and 20% of Germans, but Germans who have been traveling.
Okay.
So Germans who are open-minded, who have lived abroad, who studied abroad, and they still want to keep that kind of little, I keep my perspective open. I want to connect with other cultures, or they're coming back from a sabbatical or anything, and they just want to connect with other English speakers.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have a certain type of German men or women who are coming to the classes, because I was also telling myself, okay, there's so many great teachers already in Frankfurt. Like, there's no point in teaching German.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like teachers who do this like full term, like as a full job, you know.
Yeah.
I started by passion just because I wanted to do it for myself, but also because I wanted to meet people from everywhere.
Yeah.
And so also my circle of friends here in Frankfurt, it's more like English based, let's say. I have a lot of Italian friends, a little bit in the French community, and I'm like so much. I just get a little bit bored when I only hang out with Germans. And so my circle of friends is very international over here. And I was always like, for years, I was always trying to combine my passion for languages with my corporate job. And it never worked out.
Okay.
Unless I was like working abroad. But I could never really apply a lot of my English skills. I could never really apply my French skills. So I was kind of like, I always wanted to look for this part in my life in my real job, but couldn't find it over there.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how can I integrate this in my free time? Because maybe my full-time job is working, but I'm not looking at the right space.
Yeah.
So I'm also starting to teach German and to teach English. So I was meeting up with a couple of experts in Frankfurt years ago, and I was actually getting into the teaching mode because I'm not a teacher. But when I was traveling in Southeast Asia as a backpacker, I mean, I was also going to Australia, and I was kind of broke because Australia is so expensive.
Yeah. So I hear.
I don't want to pick bananas, so I need a job that is a little bit more fun for me.
Yeah.
I started teaching German over there. And this is how I got into teaching. So it started with language teaching. And then at a later stage, the yoga teaching came in. And now it all makes sense somehow, because with English Yoga Meetup, I really combine what I'm good at. I'm good at getting like knowledge across. I'm good at putting people together in a community so that they are at ease.
Yeah.
And I like to be outdoors, and I like to move and be active and not sit the whole day.
Yeah, exactly. And did you go through a proper yoga teacher training?
Yeah.
And tell me about that.
It was in 2017, actually. I was kind of tired of my job.
Yeah.
And I asked for a sabbatical, which I got.
Nice.
And I had like a break for 5 months, which was amazing, but I had the security to come back.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always, I kept this list with things that I want to do before I turned 30.
Nice.
I did that list when I was 22.
Oh, cool. Wow.
And then I had a look at this list, and I was like literally 1 year just in front of my 30th birthday, and I was like, oh, I haven't done anything of my list. And you're like, oh my gosh, I still need to fulfill my list, right?
Yeah.
And one point was actually I want to be at the Golden Coast, the Gold Coast. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know at the age of 22, I probably didn't even have a clue where's Gold Coast.
It sounds good though.
Good. And I just and I felt like I need to go there once. And then I looked it up, and I noticed, okay, it's close to Brisbane. Let's go there.
Nice.
And I actually ended up going there, but not only in Brisbane. And so I did this work and travel because I never had the chance, and it was kind of the last year that I got the visa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you have a certain age, then it's difficult to do the work and travel thing.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, last chance.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm so happy, especially now with Corona. I'm like so happy that I did that.
Yeah.
And so I went to Australia for 5 months. I did a little bit, like, was working for a festival in Adelaide, and I did a lot of yoga over there. There was such a nice studio over there. It was called Power Living Adelaide.
Nice.
And those guys, like, they inspired me a lot. It was a couple, young couple, very Australian style. And they had this community studio. It was close to the food market in Adelaide, which is such a nice attraction over there.
Oh, cool.
For tourists. And so they did more than yoga. They had like a specific topic every week. They were explaining the philosophy around. They are now doing podcasts and videos I've seen during lockdown. And,
cool.
And they took us to the beach to go surfing as well, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I met like very nice people over there in that community also. And we hang out even despite of the yoga and our free time. And it was like such a nice place where you can just go and you feel like you're meeting like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time when I was traveling, I was a little bit Sydney, Melbourne, and I was always checking on the app, Meetup, if there are any kind of courses where I can go, because I couldn't really subscribe to a fitness gym because it wasn't clear if I'm going to stay in Sydney or move somewhere. Yeah. So I was going to those meetups in the park somewhere to find the yoga classes, but somehow I didn't even find the group because it wasn't clear where's their location.
Okay.
But I really like this whole lifestyle. Like in Australia, people get up early, they see the sunset, they do exercising. Yoga classes at 6 a.m. over there, they're full.
Yeah.
And then you have a nice breakfast, and then you start your day with working on the computer. And I'm into that lifestyle. Yeah. I love that. I was running this morning. It was so nice in Grüneborg Park. Like no one, just the squirrels and me.
Yes. I love that too.
It was lovely, especially now with that beautiful weather.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, it was always that combination of like community and doing yoga at beautiful spots.
Yeah.
And not just the yoga, because this is one part, but also like everything that comes around. Like, how do you treat your body? What do you eat? How do you create your life? How do you flow? Not just that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so how did you find out which like yoga style was for you? Because there's someone that enjoys yoga, but I'm still at the beginning process of it. I want to find a flow. I want to kind of get into it more. But how for you, did one resonate with you over the other? Because there's so many different types, right?
Yeah, and I got completely lost. And like imagine I was doing my teacher training in Australia, and then during the training I was actually asking my teacher, what do we do over here? What is the name of the style? I didn't even have a clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
He told me it's Hatha. Hatha is the basic. I was like, okay, good to know. So I'm going to be a Hatha yoga teacher. Like you would assume before starting such a training, already the differences, but I didn't know that. And I've noticed also when you go now to yoga studios on the website, like it's overwhelming if you start with yoga, because they ask you, do you want to do yin, ashtanga, vinyasa, or power? And you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. This is how I feel, like,
And you feel like already like an outsider. Like, how can you enter that world if everyone goes there with a little Lululemon outfit, super size and perfect mat, and they know exactly what they are doing when you're just starting off, and you just feel like the loser and the biggest loser ever.
Exactly. And that's not yoga is not supposed to be like that, right?
No, it's not supposed to be like, but the thing is, like, yoga is so commercialized.
Yeah.
Like, on Instagram, everything, all the ads, it's all about how you look.
Yeah.
And that's why my first yoga experience was like 10 years ago, maybe more. I know. I was in Zurich and was exactly that type of vibe.
Okay.
The women you don't want to hang around with, the type of women that make you feel like you're less beautiful, you're less powerful, you're less flexible.
Yeah.
And I was in that studio and I never came back. So.
Yeah. Me neither. I wouldn't have done that.
I feel like opening that way to yoga can be kind of a constraint already for a lot of people when they all see how you are supposed to look like, because our social media tells us how to approach this. And I always say, like, it's also on my website, just come how you are, come the way you are. Just come around, grab a towel. I don't care what's the outfit. Like, just come, see how you feel afterwards. If you like it, come again. If you don't like it, stay away from it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why even after 4 years, I'm not operating with contracts, because I only want to have people who want to be there.
Yeah.
Not because they have paid for a contract and they're kind of forcing themselves to go there like a gym,
Yeah.
So I feel like this makes also such a difference. If you're surrounded by people who really want to make that effort and who want to be there, this changes everything. Like in the corporate setting, if you have someone in the team who's not motivated, it's going to bring down the whole energy.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, and this is like a nice synergy. And you always notice when people do the class at the beginning, everyone's a little bit like, not really talking, kind of observing.
Yeah.
But after the class, they shared something, and then they are like also a little bit more easygoing to talk to.
Yeah.
Which is nice because they just have this shared experience. Because I've noticed, like at the beginning, I also, when I wanted to reintegrate my English skills or French skills again, I was running to all those meetups in Frankfurt. And then you end up in an Irish pub, talking to someone, and it's just the same question. What do you do? Where do you live? How old are you? And then the conversation slows down. And you're like, okay, maybe you're from Ireland and I can speak English with you, but we have nothing shared in common.
Yeah.
Like you drink your whiskey in a jar, and I'm more like the kombucha type of person.
Yeah.
So this didn't really work with me. But I was like, okay, maybe I can speak English, but this is not my tribe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's such, especially now what we've gone through over the last year and a half or so, community is very important, isn't it? And as an expat, when you're coming to a new place, like you said before, you long to find a connection with people because you already feel out of place. You're learning a language. You're trying to see how things work. Also, you want to get into a daily practice or a daily ritual of more flow in your life. So you really need a place that you can go and you feel comfortable and, create this community, which you do through English Yoga Meetups, because I've been to them and they're really, really lovely. Because I love the fact that after the yoga class, you provide tea and biscuits and you can sit around and chat. And it's really nice. You walk away feeling quite enlightened and inspired because this is not just a go in, set your mat down and leave, right? And you're creating a community all around it. So hopefully afterwards, people start to connect as well, right?
Like I hear again and again, sometimes a summer later, I hear like, I'm still in contact with that and that person. I've met it in your yoga classes. Or
nice.
There was even one couple that found each other through English Yoga Meetup.
That's so cool. Yeah, love that.
They met over there or maybe at another different meetup, but I've met them again a couple of months later. They were hiking and everything in Taunus, and I just bumped into them and I was like, you know each other, you hang out around at the weekend? Yeah. And this is so nice when you're actually creating connections that last.
Exactly.
Even if it's just a connection with yourself. And a lot of people just say, I just feel better and just know myself better, because I feel like yoga is about getting to know yourself.
Yeah. No. Exactly. And so on your yoga journey, how have you gotten to know yourself? And is this because yoga is not just on the mat, right? It's off the mat. So do you have rituals? Are there things that you found that yoga has brought into your life to make more of a flow and more inward going?
Yeah, I would say it's not a quick process. So for me, it took me years and everything and I'm still learning and I'm still curious, and this is what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
So, as I said, my first encounter with yoga was horrible, and I took a break for 6 years. So that's my yoga. And it was only in Asia when I was like doing yoga in the mountains at the beach with sunset.
Nice.
This is where I fell into it. And that's why like working in a yoga studio never was appealing for me. I actually did it 2 weeks in Frankfurt, and then I got actually kicked out. And then
for the best, probably.
But sometimes you only connect. You see the dots only afterwards when you look backwards, and it was the reason though I was meant to go to the park. Yeah. And like for me, it helped me a lot with this chronic pain. So I've been through a lot of health struggles and everything, up to a point I was living in Paris, and I had to give up my job. I couldn't sleep anymore. I was in pain 24 hours. Yeah. Seeing doctors, telling me your spine and everything, or it's in your mind, which is even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I had to go, I started psychotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I couldn't handle it with my job at the same time. So twice I missed the appointment. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to stop working with you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by all these doctors. And why do I have to do a therapy? And this was all like very useless.
Yeah.
And so I started educating myself. I was reading a lot of books about what is actually creating pain in the body, like what does a diet play in the whole game?
Yeah.
What is creating inflammatory, and how can you release tensions just through the right stretches and working on deep tissue? So I was very much about how can I heal myself? How can I get rid of this pain? Because it drove me nuts. I had to stop traveling, which was one of my biggest concerns because I studied tourism at the Big Line. So I was always into traveling and meeting people.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do this anymore. I had to move back to my parents' place, quit my apartment, being jobless, and all this struggle. And I was reading a lot of books about like also resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Like how can you build yourself up again. And I was so lucky. I really had a good support, like from my family, from my close ones. And to need that time to build yourself up again when you're crashing. Yeah. And I think after this episode, I told myself, okay, I've been through this one. I can manage anything now.
Yeah.
This is kind of a promise that you give to yourself, that you say like, okay, I've been through such a hard time. And now no matter what life throws at me, I'm prepared because like I've done the inner work.
Yeah.
So like speaking about retreats, I started, especially at that time, and I restarted again, like journaling, such an easy thing.
Oh, I love journaling. It's so powerful.
It's very powerful. And I was always afraid, but it takes me a lot of time. But actually, like there are new versions of journals right now. Yeah. And they already give you the questions. So it's not about, I have to write 3 pages every single day. No, I don't have the time for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just very simple about what are you grateful for today? Yep. What made this day super special? Whom did you help today? Like, 3 easy questions. Maybe 3, another one in the evening, and you're done. It takes you 6 minutes. I always advise this little journal to all my students, and I know quite a few of them got the same. And I feel like this is a really nice way to learn, okay, what are your triggers?
Yes.
Because most of the times when you're struggling with someone, it's not about that person, it's about you. What is your trigger? And when you note it down, all of a sudden you realize, okay, I have an issue there.
Yes. Yeah.
And a topic I need to work on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because my mother was always a journaler growing up. It still is. I mean, she can go back and like has dates, everything. And I was like, no, I'm not a journaler. And then when I was really low place in my life, my therapist was like, I really encourage you to journal. And I'm like, oh, you really want me to write down my feelings? And she's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be much, but just start. Yeah. And transformative, because like you said, those triggers, right? In the morning, especially I now do morning journaling. And so the first thing I do when I wake up, if something's on my mind, I just write it down, or just a few keywords. Mm. And as soon as you get them out, you've already released them. Yeah. You let them go. You acknowledge them first and then release them. And then you can get on with your day, right? And you know that they're going to still be there, but you've already dealt with them. And then you move on with your day. And it's an amazing ritual. And I encourage everyone to do it as well, Yeah,
and it's really, it doesn't take you a lot of time. And as you say, I just put down keywords.
Yeah.
You write the whole text and paragraph and everything. But as soon as you put it out there, it's becoming tangible.
Yes.
It's on paper, and then you can deal with this one.
Yeah. So. And it's also that you said being grateful, because as soon as you say, give thanks for something, you're already in a more positive mindset, right? Than before. So it's hard to follow up a negative thought with a great, if you've given a grateful thought and, actually the sun's out today. This is going to be okay. This is a good day. I can do this. And then you hype yourself up, which is great, right?
And also, I feel like Frankfurt, like every city has a different energy. There are like very laid back cities.
Yeah.
And Frankfurt always has this energy of being productive, efficient, and everything. It has changed with Corona, but still, like you have that tendency, and it's a lot about the material.
Yeah.
Like, I look out of my window, I see my neighbor with its Tesla. We're happy. Okay. No judgment.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking about this, when you're living in a city which is already stressful for you, and it's a lot about like getting higher, better, achieve more, this is creating stress already in the morning. It means like you haven't even started your day yet, and you already feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it's just because of the surrounding also, where like the type of people, the type of energy, the type of buildings that are around us that kind of shape our inside world. And we just feel like, okay, we feel enough, or we feel inspired, we feel creative, we feel not enough at all. So this also has an impact, and it's something that we neglect somehow. And a lot of people probably in Corona have also noticed, okay, where am I working? Like the setting. Do I want to go back to an office setting? Does it inspire me? Or do I need like another frame just to be in the flow again?
Yeah. And have you found also with your ritual and your daily practice of yoga that you find yourself gravitating more towards nature and being outside?
I was always a nature person, so this was not a huge change, but I was always very active doing running. And a little bit more probably last year, just because we were kind of stuck. So I kind of tended to grab my bike a little bit more often. For the surrounding around Frankfurt, which is actually quite nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Because in the past we would just jump on a train and get somewhere. And now you're a little bit more slow down. Okay, let's go to a little farmer's market somewhere, and this is kind of the excitement of the day.
Exactly. Now, for someone that is wanting to start yoga or a ritual, what is your advice to them? Because like you said, there's a lot of information out there. So what's the first step?
Just go on YouTube. Easy. Just Google yoga for beginners. Just do one video. Do something like 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. And don't stop searching. If you didn't like that video, look for another teacher. It's really about the teacher.
Yeah.
So if you feel like there's an energy and you feel like you like that person, then go on. So there are really great videos, introductions for tutorials. I'm not a huge fan of all these challenges, to be honest, although it's such a big hype, like the 21-day challenge. I'm like, guys, you're putting pressure on me. I have to do 21 days now.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't really work for me. If it works for you, okay.
Yeah.
And then, so that at least you learn already the basics. So like, okay, this is a downward facing dog.
Yeah.
So at least you get the vocabulary. And then if you feel like you have a couple of poses that you actually like to do this, do one pose every day.
Okay. Yeah.
Takes you 1 minute, one pose. And find a slot where it actually, where you can integrate it in your life. It's a little bit like toothbrushing.
Yeah.
You always do it in the morning, maybe the slot after the toothbrushing, do your pose. I usually have my tiny practice before I go to bed. Because then I feel like, okay, where do I feel stiffness today? Is it my shoulder? Is it my hip? And then I just do something for that body part. So it's really like I have a lot of students that feel overwhelmed already at the beginning, like, yeah, Solveig, I want to get into it. How many hours do I need to practice? Like, come on, like keep it stressless. Like we already have like busy lives. Me neither. I don't have 1 hour to do yoga every single day. I would love to, but maybe I'm also getting annoyed of doing the same thing over and over again. So just tune in with yourself. What do you need today? Do that single pose. And if you need like a little bit more, go for a little longer video. And when you feel like, okay, I would be comfortable to do that outdoors, and I wouldn't feel embarrassed or anything that people are watching me while doing this, then join maybe an outdoor class, because an outdoor class attracts way more yoga beginners and yoga intermediates.
Okay.
And when you're more advanced already, then maybe go to a studio, because if you go to the studio first, you feel like, okay, I'm never gonna go here again.
Yeah.
So this is kind of, it depends on the studio, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been to a few different kinds of yoga classes here in Frankfurt, and they were really nice, some of them, but also, you have this section in it where everyone's practicing their handstands. I'm like, I'm not there yet. Yeah, okay, I'm physically strong, but I've, one, never been shown how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Two, you don't want to do it without being shown it properly. And then you already feel like you're quite missing out because they've been in the flow and clearly been doing this they've worked their way up, right? I'll go back to outside beginner. Yeah.
And like also already this labeling, like
yes,
beginner class, and this is an intermediate class. So you're kind of already, put yourself in a frame. And I'm not a huge fan of this labeling, to be honest.
Well, exactly. Because the whole idea, right, is to go inward, to relax, breathe properly. Like you said, we already have such busy lives. Yeah. Why would we go into a class that's already going to make us feel more stressed out?
And there are yoga styles that didn't really work out for me. There are some yoga styles that are like so much precision, alignment here, and then like the teacher pushing you into that shape. And I'm like, gosh, guys, I still need my hips. Don't push me down here into pigeon pose.
Yeah.
So I feel like you really have to find a setting where you can relate to the teacher, where you feel safe. A good teacher will always going to give you variations. So if variation 1 works for you, then maybe try out variation 2 or variation 3. But you don't have to go and jump into your handstand. You should always consider the different levels also as a teacher. And you always have like very newbies in there and very much advanced students. So it's always about offering a mix also.
Yeah.
So it can be a little bit hesitant to go into that yoga sport, or not even sport, workout or work in, however you want to practice it.
Yeah.
But I feel like you turn to yoga after a turning point in your life. Like you're not turning to yoga because your life is good.
Yeah.
Because if your life is good, you go swimming, you go, I don't know, running, you do something other than this. But maybe if you had a little bit of a struggle, something to process, this is where you probably turn into yoga. So I feel like before doing your first class, you already had something to process.
Yeah. Yeah, it allows you to slow down, and when you're holding those poses, it allows you to kind of release emotions and different things as well, right? I mean, have you had moments in a certain class where you're already feeling a little bit off, and then you start doing yoga, and then you have this release afterwards? I don't know. There's a couple times where all of a sudden I got a bit emotional, but in a good way, like, wow, I clearly had some tension built up inside of me, and then,
So when I was traveling a little bit in Southeast Asia, of course, I went to Bali. It was already a hype like 6 years ago for scene, but even more today. And I was in such an open kind of yoga shala, It was a Canadian teacher, and the class, I can't really remember. The class was good, something that I would have expected. But after that class, I had like a tear coming down, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And I was like, just looking back behind all this time, the things that I left a little bit behind, and all the struggle I've been through, also emotionally in relationships. And I was just noticing in that moment, this was so hard. Like I've been through a time of moments that was so hard and took me so much energy. And at that time, after that class, I was releasing something.
Yeah.
And this class kind of sticked with me. And then I was doing my research, and they actually say, like, when you're working a lot on your hips, like hip openers, this is releasing, because apparently the hips are kind of an emotional drawer. You put everything in there, and then as soon as you open them, you kind of feel like, okay, now I can let go of them. And I feel like, I don't know if it's about the hips. I feel like it's also about like the chest area. But I'm like a strong believer in posture, because like a lot of people, when they're closing,
Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
you feel different
Mm-hmm.
than opening the shoulders. So the whole world changes for you if you have an open chest, because it means like you're also more open to other people. If
Yeah.
you're like punching the bag all the time, you're like a little bit like in your own small little world, and you don't really feel like communicating to others. So you can actually, and this is very powerful when you know this, you can actually influence your mood just by the way how you sit, just by the way how you open the body. Yeah.
Wow.
So especially I feel like in homework, in home office types or periods of our life where we are all hunching and rounding the shoulders, we feel a little bit isolated, but we are feeling even more isolated because we are closing up the chest.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like when you have noticed, okay, when I open up here, I feel happier. I let in a little bit more light, if you would.
Yeah.
Picture. But then you also feel like, okay, maybe I'm open today to try out something new. Maybe I'm open to call a person. I haven't been calling since a while. So it does something. It's always like a connection. And if there was one thing from this whole health story for me, it was like I never can work against with my body.
Mm-hmm.
I can only work in alignment. So, yeah. It's really about getting to know, okay, what are the differences in my side? Like a lot of us, we have like asymmetries also in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And I was judging myself so much because I've been to 50 different doctors and they all said to me, yeah, your spine is not perfect. Okay. And then it was my mind. And I was like having that picture of my perfectly imperfect spine.
Yeah.
I mean, if doctors keep telling you this is what's gonna be your image of your body and this is not gonna do any good to you. So I'm turning more and more to holistic health or to kind of approaches, Ayurveda. I'm not against traditional medicine or anything, but I think it should be both.
Yeah.
And there's so much knowledge out there, which we just kind of forgot about it. Today we just think, okay, I have a headache, just pull in a pill. I never was that type of person, and I feel like we shouldn't go this way down.
Yeah. And because you mentioned Ayurveda, which I'm just now reading about, and the chakras and energy, it all plays a massive part in who we are, right? We all have different frequencies and how you can, even opening your chest, adjust your frequency, everything. Have you thought about, along with your yoga, I mean, I know you have a full-time job, clearly, but also educating your yoga students about this stuff, because it all goes hand in hand, right? And nutrition, oh my gosh, it's a game changer with how you feel and your energy, and then doing that practice and ritual along with all that.
This is actually the interesting yoga off the mat part that I feel like as inspired as about the yoga.
Yeah.
And Ayurveda is such a big topic, actually. Like when you really study it in India, it's kind of like studying medicine. Over here in Germany, it's like 5 years.
Yeah.
So of course, I've been reading about it, but I would never consider myself an expert in Ayurveda. So I always get in the expert. If I'm not the expert, I look for an expert.
Yeah.
And we actually had a very nice woman from France, and she's doing Ayurveda consultations. So during lockdown, we had a couple of Ayurveda online events.
Yeah. Oh, I missed those.
Yeah, I think we have a replay available. So she was really diving into that topic of, okay, body type, constitution, different doshas, but it's more than this. Ayurveda is so huge as a topic. I feel like when you look it up, it's always, okay, your Vata, Pitta type. Okay, but what else is coming? So, and this also has an impact. I also like that idea of in Ayurveda that you're adjusting according to the seasons.
Yes.
Like depending on how is it today. Today it's very warm. So you probably want to feel like more a little bit refreshed. So maybe a little bit more like cooler stuff. And in winter you feel like, oh, it's cold. So you need a little bit more warm. So it's always coming back to that balance, which is also yoga kind of.
Yeah.
And they always say like Ayurveda is the big sister of yoga. So this is super interesting. I'm also getting more and more into the topics of like how can you synchronize your life with your menstrual cycle.
Yes.
Also super interesting as a topic.
Super interesting.
Like, I knew this. Like, when you speak about with women, I knew it. You had that feeling, but it just confirms a little bit what you knew already about your body.
Yeah.
And there's so many topics that you can touch base on. If it's like not only what you do with your body, but also what you put inside, like everything about nutrition. We had, we also had a vegan expert. She's a coach for vegan diet. She was speaking about the whole topic. So I'm also plant-based, but again, I don't consider myself an expert. So I don't give advice out there if I'm not the expert, Coming from Germany, where you need to have a certificate for everything, I feel like, okay, I'm not gonna place myself out there to be an expert, although I'm like, 5 years plant-based and still survived.
Yeah.
My mom was like,
how do you do that? Like, I'm alive.
How do you do that? You're still
That's great. Oh, sorry.
And there's so many topics that I'm just super interested. And I feel like we are limiting ourselves about, this is my passion, but you have to be in the flow.
Yes.
And as I said, yoga is like being in the flow, but when can you be in flow also with other areas in your life? For me, it was a lot about rediscovering my creativity during lockdown. I started with painting again.
Cool.
Yoga mats with my paintings.
Nice.
So, and or is it about diet and testing out new recipes, or in general, like this vision, again, coming back to the bucket list, like what do you want to do? What are your values? So I keep like a poster, makeup desk, and I have like my 4 main values on it. So every day I see them, and then it reminds me, okay, what I'm doing today, does it actually contribute to my values?
That's great. That's powerful.
For me, a big thing is like social impact, for instance. I was never really aware of this, but like, I want to give back somehow to society. I haven't really figured out completely how I'm going to do this, but at English Yoga Meetup, like it's a lot about education also. So this is kind of giving back to society, but we've been also running like a lot of charity classes. We were donating. And I feel like this is a strong core value of myself. Yeah. Because it always reminds me again of my travel part when I was like, I think it was somewhere in Indonesia. And there was a small girl, like 8 years maybe. And she came to me and she was selling me those small little wrists that she did herself, colorful. And she was looking at me, do you want to buy such a bracelet? I was like, yeah, sure. Gonna get them. And she told me she's gonna use the money to buy her books for the school. Like, okay, that's a good thing. I can't check if you're really gonna use the money for the school, but I trust you. And then she was looking at me and she was like, oh, I want to have your skin, you're so pale. And I was so shocked in this moment, like, 8-year-old girl saying this to me, and I just like this sentence just sticked with me. And like, what can you do about this situation? Like, this was 6 years ago, before the whole Black Lives Matter kind of approach. And like, if an 8-year-old girl already has trouble to gain money to pay for her education, and if she also already realizes that there are differences in life just because of a color, then we have a problem. Yeah, completely. And I still, like, I don't know how I'm going to develop English Yoga Meetup and everything, but if I want to do something, then I really want to do something in the direction of like education, empowerment of females. Yeah. How can you be independent of this? Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this is another kind of passion project that I should put maybe on my list for the 14th birthday. But so it's interesting to learn about your values and really ask yourself, how do you going to spend your life? Because you only have one life and it's so short. And most of the times we just spend it with doing jobs we don't care about.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work for you, and it's not going to work for society also if you're just investing your energy in something that doesn't really have an impact.
Yeah. It's I really love how you on the website talk about your passion project, right? And how, and you, I think you can download it, right? So you can also, you had like a course about your passion project and how you can also develop your passion project. And this is really important, like you said, because the more individuals in this world we have doing their passion projects, the happier, the higher the vibrations. I mean, people are really community oriented, coming together, because they're not angry anymore, or they really want to give back, because a lot of times your passion project is about working with other people, or how can you help how can you help the community?
Service.
Yeah.
This is something that we forget. You have this idea maybe in Asian cultures where it's like really about being polite, being of service, and here it's more about like,
me.
Yeah. Me, exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like we all have something that we are passionate about.
Yeah.
And I don't think you have to do another coaching or anything. It's just about look at the magazines, look at the books, what you're already reading, look at the podcasts you're listening to, check the music. What do you like to do?
Yeah.
And I feel like we know what we like, because a lot of people say like, but I don't know what I want. But well, you know what you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
If it's like movement, or if it's travel, or if it's like creating, or if it's like being in contact, then I always suggest do it more often.
Yes.
Do it more often. And really, because this is where you're going to get your flow.
Exactly. I mean, it's quite simple, really, but when you're feeling overwhelmed and don't know where to start, it's exactly what you said. What are your core values? Everything needs to start with what you value. And, I was encouraged, write all your values down, like all of them, at least 50 if you can, which I was like, okay, then what values are important to you right now? So these are something that are current in your life. Then what are the values that you would like to implement more into your life? And then what ones, and then you'll realize you need to come back to it, because your values can change as well, as because we develop as people, right? And then you can have a shift in that value. So then you just adjust your life according to that value, if it's a key one, right?
Yeah, and this is also so interesting and important to adjust, because sometimes we think like we've started like this and we have to keep on going like this.
Yeah, but you don't.
You're free. You can change it. You are the creator. You decided whatever you want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes we are just blocking ourselves. But again, it starts with the mindset, because our inside world is actually reflecting what's going on in our outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And we always try to change the outside world first. We are moving cities, we change jobs, we change partners, and we think we're going to be happy on the inside. But the thing is, like, you have to do it the other way around.
Yes.
First, change your mindset, connect with you, be clear about what do you want to compromise on, and what are the things you're no longer going to compromise on, and then go for this one.
Yeah.
Sounds easy in theory, like in the practical way.
It's not
to implement this one.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's getting easier with age, when you just get to know yourself better. I was struggling a lot during my 20s, and I'm just happy to no longer be at that place.
Exactly. I mean, it's a journey. I think a lot of people think when they figure out a way of self-healing or educating themselves that they're going to fix themselves. Okay, yeah, you can fix certain things about how you eat, and maybe you're not in pain anymore, but it's about also, one, how to deal with it when it comes back up again. And two, it's a process. Everything in life's a process. It's a journey. And everyone's like, enjoy the process. Yeah, it's easier said than done. But as soon as you do find your flow and go with the flow of your life, then it does get easier. You just know how to adjust those simple, it doesn't seem as hard then to adjust that simple thing in your life, right?
And it's always about the small steps.
Yes.
Like especially being a female entrepreneur, like a side entrepreneur, it's about persistence, especially with Corona. Like,
yes.
It's easy to start. It's a little bit like falling in love. It's easy to start, fall in love, launch something. You're very motivated, but then staying in that relationship, staying in that business that you have created, this is a different story, because this requires the work, and it requires you to show up every single day, even if it's just a tiny move that you're gonna do. But don't give up too early. Like, we are living in a society where we give up too easily. We give up on relationships that are not Instagram perfect. We're giving up on jobs that are not paying us enough, in our opinion. So sometimes it's about, you have to ask yourself that question: is it about staying this time, or is it about leaving?
Yeah.
Because every situation is gonna teach you something, and sometimes it's rather the moment to stay, and sometimes it's rather, okay, now life wants me to move on.
Yes. Yeah. And you know which decision to take based on if you've really, given yourself that time and allowed yourself to go inward and figure these things out, right? Because it's all about self-development and knowing yourself more. This is what the flow is, your rituals, everything. Yoga, is about a happier, healthier you, right? In whichever form that is for you.
Whatever this means to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Another really interesting topic alongside Ayurveda, diet, is human design.
I love human design.
This was such an eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
Like, I started also to get into this during the lockdown when I had way too much time.
Yeah.
This makes so much sense to me.
It does.
And if you're like, if you really know how you function, if you know how you work and how you interact with the world, if it's more about you to react, or is it the one who's leading with an idea, I feel like it makes sense. Although it's a little bit woo-woo maybe for some people, I believe in that type of stuff.
Me too. I'm all woo-woo these days.
What are you? Are you a generator?
I'm a generator.
Me
yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Exactly. And it's interesting because when a friend of mine actually messaged me, and she's like, "Are you a projector?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Well, human design." I said, "Don't know what you're talking about." She's like, "Oh, okay. Go do your birth chart, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Okay." Yeah. And then, I was like, boom. And it's interesting because friends have asked me, well, but like 70% of the population are generators. I said, yes, but there's so much more to that. It's just how it's broken down in a simple way for our minds to kind of understand it. But then it goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in this channel and this opening and this and this and this. And when you have your chart done or your blueprint done, it's literally, there are moments I was like highlighting, like, oh my God, yeah, that's so true. Oh, now it makes so much sense. Oh, gut feeling. Yes. Yeah. And it's really, along with all the other things that I'm into, it just helps with navigating your journey, right? Yeah. It just makes it easier a bit.
And you just understand what's the next step. Because when you have that strong reaction, like, I'm very much about the gut feeling.
Yep.
When I have that reaction, I know this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And you go for it. And at the beginning, I was like, okay, maybe I have that gut feeling. Tomorrow it's going to change again. And now I know that I can trust. I can trust that this is my reaction.
Yes.
When I have that feeling, I know this is the way to go.
Yes.
So you're a little bit less worrying, and you go for it.
Exactly. That's such a good word that you use, is trust. It does help you trust that gut, because a lot of us, for me personally, I lost that trust in myself. And so I was doing all these things I thought were right for me and realized, not at all. The uh-huhs were very clear. But then, doing all this research and doing the work made me realize the uh-huhs and the uh-uhs, which are super important, right? And the trust, doing this work means you trust yourself, means that decisions are just so much easier. It all goes hand in hand, It's like,
And it's again about just figuring out what works for you, and also to analyze a little bit the people around you. We always say, like, you're the average of the 5 people you spend most of the time with.
Yeah.
Well, analyze your partner. Is he also a generator? How does he takes decisions? You know, and then you know a little bit about them. You know why they react the way they react.
Yeah.
And this makes your life so much easier because you know, okay, they need a little bit more time. I'm always on the fast pace.
Yeah.
So you can adjust a little bit also to your surrounding, and I feel like it makes co-living or even in friendships with family,
yes,
it just a little bit more easier.
Oh, completely. It's so funny. There was one thing in there that said, you're very much this, everyone lives together, happiness, commune, you know, this, there was a special word they used for it. And I was just like, finally, someone understands where I'm coming from. It was like it was so great for me. I was like, you know, and all my friends were like, Kelly, you've been a hippie since I've known you, like your whole life, you know, but you just don't dress like one. I was like, oh yeah, this is making so much sense. I'm all togetherness, love, let's all be connected. But it just puts it in a very simple form, which is great, you know, that you understand. Yeah. One last question for you before I let you go. Podcast is called The Future Edit. It's about doing the inner work. So, you know, editing yourself for a happier and healthier you. Describe the future you.
The future me. Yeah. I was thinking about this one, and I would actually allow myself to have different hats on. Because as we just said, like, we're always in that idea of you can just do one thing.
Yeah.
But I'm really passionate about digital marketing still. I mean, it's my corporate job, and there's a reason why I do this.
Yes.
And I've studied tourism, and there's also a reason why I did that with this one. But at the same time, I was always interested in interior architecture.
Cool. I studied that.
So you did?
Yeah.
I wanted to study this, but then my dad told me, you're never going to make an income with this one. I never did it, and I kind of regret it. And now I'm kind of getting a little bit more into feng shui and all that.
Yeah.
And I just made that promise to me that I don't have to do just one thing. Maybe my biggest strength is to do different things. Maybe I want to do raw vegan cakes one day. Maybe I want to do vinyasa power rooftop yoga one day. And the next day I want to help someone how to create a nice interior to feel yourself at your best place.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to give myself that freedom that I'm not going to limit my creativity if I have like multi-interests.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, they always say like, oh, but I don't have that one thing. I don't have that one wish, and I want to become a doctor. You know, like the small children at the age of 6, they know exactly what they want to become in life. And I was never like this. Like mine were in between pizza maker, flower person, and someone who works in a bank. So I was very different with my ideas as a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I don't have to limit myself. I just want to be free. And this freedom is such, it's another core value on my poster. Freedom is so important for me. So I always want to be free to decide when do I want to work.
Mm-hmm.
I also with English Yoga Meetup, I only teach when I feel like, when I want to.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a certain schedule, but I don't want to have that, oh, I need to be at this place at a certain time. So freedom, and also in terms of space, decide where do I want to work? Do I want to work remote? Do I want to work maybe during the winter months at a nicer spot rather than Frankfurt?
Yeah.
So I allow myself that freedom and creativity. So again, it's about living my values.
Yeah.
This is the future me, and it's already a little bit the current me. I told myself I want to do more me, because also with Corona and everything, I mean, it was very difficult for English Yoga Meetup to survive, and there were more than one days when I asked myself, is this worth to keep on? But there was one learning, and I just told myself, okay, in the future, I just want to do more of me, like really what I stand for, and I want to share all this. Yeah.
Oh, this is beautiful. I love asking this question because I'm finding everyone, they already know the future them. And this is really powerful because, like you said, for you, it's your core value. So once you know that, it's easy. You're continuing growth in who you are already. And this is really, really, one, great advice for other people. And two, super exciting to see the more of you in all your projects, which is really working and people are appreciating, and you're educating us and giving people the opportunity for community growth and, working for a healthier them, right? So this is very lovely and nice to see.
Yeah, and a lot of the times I get, most often I don't get the feedback, Solveig, your class was great. People don't say that necessarily to me, but what I get a lot from my community is like, Solveig, you inspired me so much since moving to Frankfurt. And I feel like this is so nice. So it's not just only what you do on the mat. This is like kind of the starting point, but it's spreading that inspiration to just become you again. It's just society, which kind of transformed us a little bit.
Yes.
But it's about getting back to who we really are.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I love that. That makes me so happy. This is basically what this podcast is about. It's like,
and I'm so looking forward to hear the other podcasts.
Yeah.
With Corona, I also started listening to podcasts because I've never done that before.
Oh, cool.
I'm like really looking forward to like who do you gonna invite, and also always to take something out of this.
Yeah, exactly. I think for me, it was, there's so many podcasts out there. They're doing the same thing I'm doing, but it's coming from a view of someone is stuck. They want to better themselves, but they don't know where to start. And the thing is therapy is not a one size fits all. It's, some people don't need to go to a therapist. Someone just needs to, dance a bit more, or they need an art therapist where they're drawing, or they just need a community, like a yoga class to go to, just to be seen, to be heard, and so it's basically a 360 view of, how can you find what's right for you? Because, people are going to tell you what, they think you need, but you only are the one that knows what you need and where to start. Because I know for me, when I was low, I didn't know where to start. Luckily, Instagram, I put it out there and people were like, oh, try her. Oh, she does tarot readings. I mean, it started with a powerful tarot reading for me. And then it really just opened my eyes. So it's going to be really interesting because people also, one, want to be heard. Two, they want to share their stories. And also they have like you say, you have experts coming on talking about their field. And this is exciting because you can learn from them. And I'm learning. I know that I'm going in a different direction than I was. And I'm not sure where that's going. But in the process, I'll figure it out. Learning with everyone else. So it's exciting, this whole new awakening for people, right? So we'll see.
And it's great that it takes a little bit of courage to get out there with a podcast.
Yeah.
So it's inspiring that you decided to go that road. And I'm sure, like, especially right now when everyone's speaking about the new world, how do we want to create it? This is exactly the moment where those kind of projects, they will gonna shine through. Yeah.
So we'll see. It's basically, my advice to everyone recently and to myself is slow and steady, enjoy it, fun. If you're enjoying it, then it's going to succeed no matter what. I haven't put these expectations on myself, to feel like it has to be like this and it has to be like this. It's like, talk to people, listen to what they have to say. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. And I'll put all your contact details and how to find you and everything below. So yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
Yeah, you too. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like what you're hearing, please like us, subscribe, and tell your friends. You can follow us on Instagram, The Future Edit. And for more information about my guest and myself, you can head to thefutureedit.com. Until next time, ciao.